and a confrontation of champions as they come toward the top of the stretch. And they're into the stretch, and here we go. Songbird set down. Beholder is alongside.
The 7-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won.
He's just perfect, and now he's just immortal.
Here's the wire, desperately close. Tisno wins it for America.
Hello and welcome to the Capital OTB Stakes Preview, our second Stakes Preview of the week, doing the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Derby undercard. Sully Crotty, Mike Callahan. Mike, how you doing?
Sully, what's going on? Yeah, we did our Oaks preview, which if you haven't seen yet, go to our YouTube channel, or you're going to be able to watch it on our TV station as well. And you're probably watching this on Saturday morning. Hopefully you did well for that Stakes preview as far as Oaks goes. It's unbelievable to think that the Derby is actually here. We always talk about it on a week-to-week basis. We've been doing this Stakes preview, talking about how the Derby was going to come, how it was going to come, and now it's finally here, and it's very exciting and a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and as of now, the weather forecast is not great down in Louisville, but you could definitely make adjustments to that. But it's an unbelievable card. There's 7 graded stakes races, and we're going to be looking at 6 of them. But we'll tell you who we like in race 6. But the stakes races we're going to be looking at are races 7 through 12, ending with the Kentucky Derby. So the first one we're going to look at is the 7th race, Saturday afternoon at Churchill. This is the Churchill Distaff Turf Mile Grade 2 event. This is for fillies and mares 4 and up. And at race number 8 on Saturday, this is the Churchill Downs, a Grade 1 event going 7 furlongs on the main track. Moving on to the 9th race, this is the American Turf. A mile and a 16th on the turf course. This is for 3-year-olds, a Grade 2 event. The 10th race, this is the Pat Day Mile, one-turn mile on the main track. This is for 3-year-olds. Moving on to the 11th race, this is the Old Forester Turf Classic, Grade 1 event, $1 million on the line for 4-year-olds and up, and all that leads to the highlight Saturday afternoon, race number 12 at Churchill Downs. It is the Kentucky Derby, Grade 1 event, $3 million on the line for 3-year-olds going 1.25 miles.
And as Sully alluded to, there are 7 stakes races. Normally on our stakes preview, we talk about 5 for the Oaks. We talked about 6. Because there's 7, we didn't want to leave one out. We're going to talk about the 6th race and kick it off with the Humana Distaff, race number 6, which is going to have a field in here of 7. And there are 7 competitive horses in here. You're going to see Marley's Freedom at 7-5. I think that price is going to stay right around where it is in the morning line. But there's a lot to look forward to in here. We're not going to talk about it too much in depth. We're just going to give our picks, but briefly talk about what your thoughts were in the race, what your selections were, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough to beat Marley's Freedom in here, as you said. Even if there is some weather, Marley's Freedom did look good in that one race on an off track, a couple starts back. But Marley's Freedom definitely is the class of this bunch. I remember seeing her at Aqueduct and Cigar Mile Day, and she looked really impressive. To win that race, looked like she was going to get by, but she had a really game effort. So I think it's going to be tough to beat Marley's Freedom in this spot. But if you're looking for a price, if you're a triple or a super player, I think Mia Mischief is a really interesting horse in this race as well. This is a sprint race. Amy's Challenge should get to the lead. But Mia Mischief and Spice Perfection are the 2 horses that should be sitting right there. So I like Mia Mischief to complete the triple at 12-1. Talk Vuv to me comes in after a very impressive optional claimer at Keeneland. So I had that one in my mix as well. But all in all, I think it's going to be tough to beat Marley's Freedom in this spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have Marley's Freedom on top, just based on the way the race shapes up. Amy's Challenge, the number 5, has a ton of speed. You're going to see that horse go. Talk Vuv to me, who I do have in the second spot, I think is interesting. Going to talk about that horse in the second, has some speed as well. And then also Mia Mischief. And you have to elevate Mia Mischief based on the way the weather is going to play out on Saturday, because Mia Mischief, while the form has been okay of recent, you really have to elevate this horse based on the wet track. 2 for 3 lifetime, with a lone blemish being a second-place performance. Ricardo Santana has been aboard for each and every start. And I just think this horse is rounding into nice form, likes Churchill Downs, likes the slop or potentially muddy surface that we may see with all the rain that they expect on Saturday, which is today. We'll see what happens in here. But I think Marley's Freedom, horse that can sit off of the pace, has already raced at Churchill Downs, went really wide back in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. finished a 4th, but only beating a half length. Got a nice buyer. And just looking at buyers alone, this horse is much the best on paper based on that fact. And the workout suggests that this horse is ready to explode and likes the wet surface as well. So I use the 7. The 4 is interesting. And take a look at this stat. Rudolph Brissett is 7 for 59 so far in 2019, which is okay. It's 12%. But 6 of those wins are second off the layoff. 67%. It's one of those really good stats that you want to take a look at. And I think this horse, another one, second off the layoff, has the win last time out, and a 3 other than. I think the 4 is probably the horse, if you want to use a couple in here to use as far as the multis go. I'm going to use the 4 and the 7 for the multi-race wagering purposes. So I went 7, 4, 3, and 5. Your thoughts one more time?
I went 7, 3, 4, and 2.
All right, we will take a look at race number 7 now, which is going to be the Distaff Turf Mile, a Grade 2 event. You're going to see a field in here of 10 in here, and when you see it pop up on the board, there's going to be a lukewarm favorite of Precious, the number 6, at 3-1 on the morning line. But you can make a case for pretty much the entire field, minus probably the one at 20-1. But some of these horses are coming in off of some very good efforts. Precious last time out got the job done in the Honey Fox. I still have Precious on top, but I could understand why people went elsewhere. What were your thoughts on this race? And what were your selections? Because I know we have a couple replays that you want to show as well.
Yeah, my first replay in here is going to be the second place finisher in that Honey Fox du Precious, and that's Valedictorian. That's kind of where I landed. I do have Valedictorian on top, and the Honey Fox was in the early parts of March, and Valedictorian's the number 2. Makes the move, kind of does all the dirty work for Precious to run into this, and the fractions were pretty quick. 23-2 into a 46-2, and Valedictorian has a really game effort here. Valedictorian usually doesn't make a move that quickly, and usually is going against some slower paces, so it has a little bit left in the tank. So I did think Valedictorian had a really good effort there to lose to Precious. So if you like Precious at 3-1, watching that replay with those quick numbers in a race that absolutely set up pace-wise for Precious, I think Valedictorian is a better price and did all the dirty work in that Honey Fox. So that's where I landed. I've always been a fan of this horse for Kelly Green. And at the distance, this horse is 4 for 5. So I'll use Valedictorian on top. Taking a little bit of a shot in the second spot, 8-1 on the morning line is Got Stormy, Gary Barber, and Mark Cassidy. I just thought in the Jenny Wiley that was a really nice effort, running against 2 really nice horses in Rushing Fall and Rimska. Rushing Fall, I think, is now 5 for 5 at Keeneland, and has had really nice performances. And this was a really nice third place effort there. You get Tyler Gaffleone back in the irons for the 3rd straight start. This is a horse that all 5 career wins have been at the distance. So I'll use Got Stormy at a little bit of a price. It's going to get the same trip as Valedictorian, and then the 9 and the 6 underneath. I have the 2 Chad horses are very live. The 9 and 8-1, I don't think you're going to get close to 8-1. This horse should be the second choice in this race. Based off the last performance, that horse could have won the race at Keeneland by 10 lengths. Got the job done by 3. Second start here in North America. Second off a big layoff. Chad's 33%. So the 2 Chad runners are very, very live in here. I just want to get a little bit of a price over Precious. The Precious definitely is a really nice horse. I remember watching the De La Rose at Saratoga, lost to stablemate Uni in a really nice effort by a head. So I'll use the 2 Chad horses just underneath for me. I went 10, 8, 9, and 6.
I went 6, 3, 9, and 8. I do have Precious, gave the slight edge to, based on the weather that we're going to expect. Again, you just have to take a look and format it in your handicapping as well. Precious is a horse that loves the soft turf. I expect there obviously to be some moisture in the turf. We'll see ultimately how much there actually is, but really has done nothing wrong in 2 North America starts. The second to Uni. Uni went on to win a Grade 1 at Del Mar, and then last time out running down some horses. Now, the pace really I didn't think was that fast. 23 to Precious, the running, the fact that this horse is faced one else, I think it was 3, second, from mile, they went 24-1, 48-4, 112-1. To me, that's just walking up front. So kind of expect Valedictorian to stay up front, be able to kick clear. So a little bit of a difference of opinion with you as far as how that kind of shapes up, but I still do respect Valedictorian. And then also the 9 Environs, and I want to take a look at that because you said that horse, the wild card in this race, and I fully agree with you because we're going to watch the replay of Environs winning that 2 other than allowance race at Keeneland, coming from 7 1/4 off. And when you are able to see the replay here, that comes up in a second. This horse is really able to excel down the stretch. Jose Ortiz is able to get this horse wide, has the Juddmonte colors just on the outside, and when he asks this horse and sets her down, she really explodes. So you like the way that this horse turn of foot was. First time in North America. Now Chad Brown's going to step this horse up into Grade 2 company, and I think he has a serious racehorse, and he's just testing the waters against some really good horses in here. So 8-1's not going to hold. That is absolutely for sure. But if you can get 4-1, and if for some reason Precious regresses, Valedictorian regresses, maybe Daddy is a Legend isn't able off of that layoff to be ready and fit enough, Environs is a horse that's coming in with a lot of potential, and watch the board, because if this horse gets hammered, you're going to want to elevate this horse, especially as far as win purposes going here. So for me in the 7th, I saw it 6, 3, 9, and 8. Your thoughts one more time?
10, 8, 9, and 6.
All right, we'll take a look at race number 8 now, which is going to be the Churchill Downs Stakes. You're going to see a field in here of 12, and the morning line favorite, the slight morning line favorite, is going to be Mitole, the 8 horse in here, coming off of 5 in a row, looking to make it 6, 7-2 on the morning line. Ricardo Santana, Steve Asmussen, whenever they team up, obviously you have to take a look at them. This horse has done absolutely nothing wrong, has been razor sharp. The only question in all of this when you're taking a look at it is the 7 furlongs. Mitole's never been 7 furlongs before, is going to face a lot of speed from the 4. The 6 in here has some speed. What were your thoughts going into it? I know we have some replays to show as well.
Yeah, I did like Limousine Liberal, but Limousine Liberal did retire earlier in the week, so I'm just going to move some horses up. I went 8, 6, 12, and 7. Mitole on top. I'm with you there. The 7 furlongs was the big question mark for me, but the last 4 have been very impressive for Mitole, winning stakes races by 6 lengths, by 9 lengths last time out, beat a really nice horse in Whitmore and Oaklawn in the slop. So in those buyers alone just really do stack up against the rest of this field. So if you get the lukewarm price at 7-2, I think that's great value for Mitole. And as you said, Ricardo and Steve win a ton of races together, especially down in Kentucky. The number 6 is Promises Fulfilled. Promises Fulfilled is the other speed in here for Dale Roman. So this could be a really quick pace. We could see a really fast pace like we saw in the Woody Stevens, where that was just a blistering, the fractions were just blistering there. And Promise Fulfilled faded the 3rd that day. But since then, the horse has done nothing wrong. Against XY Jet and the Golden Shaheem, I thought it was an okay race, finishing 4th that day, and behind Imperial Hit and behind XY Jet. So Promises Fulfilled at 4-1, I think, is a good value there. And then the 12 is Whitmore, the 2nd place finisher in that Grade 3 event at Oaklawn in the slop. I thought it was a really nice effort as well. This horse does have experience over Churchill Downs and on a wet surface, 4 for 6 in the money, including 2 wins, and same at Churchill Downs, is running the money 50% of the time. This is a horse that doesn't necessarily need the lead. Ran a good number last time out. A 101 buyer, was not on the lead, just couldn't get past Mitole, but 2 back was sitting off the pace, also at Oaklawn. And was able to win that race with the triple figure buyer. So Whitmore, again, 4-1. This is going to be a really nice betting race, but I think the 3 logicals at lukewarm prices are going to be tough to beat in this spot. So with the scratch and Limousine Liberal, I have 8, 6, 12, and 7. I
have it 6, 12, 8, and 7. And again, if you're part of the bankroll team, this is going to be one of my bigger plays as far as the bankroll goes, because I do like the 6 Promises Fulfilled, who we're going to see a replay in the Amsterdam. And I just thought it was a really good performance back in the Amsterdam, back at Saratoga, where this horse was able to draw off by 3 1/4. And to me, I absolutely agree with you. It's going to be the two horse that breaks in here and isn't able to get the lead. Now, where you're going to see in the race that we're talking about right now, and not the Amsterdam, is that Bobby's Wicked One wants to go. Mitole, who Sully already talked about, wants to go. You would think that Promises Fulfilled would want to go with these 3, but you don't want a suicidal pace battle. So I think that Dale Romans will use this race as a replay and a tool as far as Luis Saez is concerned. He's going to break. He's going to sort of pull back and angle outside, and you're going to see in here they're still flying. They're going 21-1. He's able to sit and rate just outside of the speed. I'm hoping that he's going to be able to rate off of Bobby's Wicked One, off of Mitole, sit about a half length off and be able to collar him, because you're going to see here, this is a 7 furlong race, and he is still able to separate from the field after going these really fast fractions. Look at that, 43-4, and he's able to get past Engaged and go kick clear by 3 1/4. So I like Promises Filled in the spot. I'm thinking that the 4-1 is going to hold in here, and I know that last time was a little bit of a lackluster effort in Dubai, but the horse did not break at all. And again, when you give XY Jet a clear lead like that, you kind of expect what XY Jet was able to do in Dubai to happen. So I think they're just going to completely draw a line through that race, come back to their home track, and be able to be a nice price in here. And if you're able to stock just off of the speed, I think Promises Filled has a serious chance. I'll use that horse on top. Underneath, Whitmore in the second spot, I just think is one of those solid underneath candidates. I know the price isn't going to wow anybody. Javier Castellano, Ron Moquette, the horse finished second last time to Matoli going 6. I think is actually a better 7 furlong type of horse, and especially if there's a hot pace, expect Whitmore to definitely be closing into it. So I have him in the second spot and the 8 in the third spot. Matoli, again, there's really nothing bad to say about Matoli. The only question mark would be the 7 furlongs that you and I have already talked about. So for me, I'm going to have to use the wait and see approach, especially since I think Matoli is going to take a lot of money in this spot. So I'll try to beat him with maybe a second or a third choice in Promises Fulfilled. And then the 7 in the fourth spot, Warriors Club. Ran a huge race against Bobby's Wicked One last time out at 10-1 that day, and the workout sense was tremendous. 46-1, first of 46 at Churchill. I think the horse, although is 1 for 12 at Churchill, is 5 for 12 in the money. So I think is one that could be coming late as well, especially if the pace is quick. So for me, in the 8th, I have it 6, 12, 8, and 7. Your thoughts one more time?
8, 6, 12, and 7.
All right, that's going to bring us to our break. When we come back, we still have 3 more to take a look at, including the big one, the Kentucky Derby.
It's the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, the 145th running of the Kentucky Derby. And here's a special offer for all new Capital Bets account holders leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Open a new Capital Bets account at CapitalOTB.com, bet $200, and get $200 cash back. So whether you're a seasoned horse player or only wager once a year, don't miss out on this incredible offer. To learn how to claim your free money, go to CapitalOTB.com.
Welcome back to the Capital TV Kentucky Derby Stakes Preview. Mike Callahan, Sully Crotty. We are through 3 of 7. Still have to talk about the big one, the Kentucky Derby, but we still have a lot of action to talk about as well on the undercard, including race number 9, the Grade 2 American Turf. You're going to see a field in here of 13, and this is as wide open of a race as you could possibly think of. I'm going to set you up because while we're at break, you told me you had a big long shot in here. A bomb in here, no pun intended, so I'll let you take away. You can kind of get the gist of it if you're watching right now, and I know you have a replay to show some of our fans.
Yeah, this is as you said, a fantastic betting race, so why not pick a bomb in here, and that is the 13 Louder Than Bombs. The last 3 were not honestly terrible efforts, I thought. I watched the Transylvania again. I thought the trip was brutal. The horse was completely wide and got shuffled back. And then the 2 races in Florida I thought were good efforts as well. And I'm going to pull up to Dania Beach from the February 3rd at Gulfstream going a mile. They stretched the horse out to 1 mile and 16th the last 2 starts, and really they were not bad efforts. Here, Louder Than Bombs is the number 6 horse and eventually finishes second by 3 that day. But that's a good closing effort, I think, against a really nice field in here. So I do think Louder Than Bombs, with the closing speed in here, there is a lot of pace to run into. So I do think Louder Than Bombs will appreciate that. The outside stall will not be an issue at all. And then this is a horse that lost to A Thread of Blue, who is the favorite in here with the number 1, who I have 5th in my mix. So I'm not even going to use that horse. Did win the Palm Beach the next time up. Beat Cassius Creed, who's the number 7 in here, who I have outside of my mix as well. I'm going for a shot in a wide open race. The closing speed, I think, is there. I didn't think the Transylvania was a bad effort at all, considering how wide this horse was. Julian's going to be in the irons for the first time for David Fox. And the over 10 greatest stakes for Fox, I'm not going to let that scare you because this is a horse that's been right there in South Florida and then at Keeneland. So I'll use the 20-1 price on top. The number 8 horse is Avies Flatter. Joe T. Carroll sending this one out. We saw this one on Woodbine before going to Keeneland, running in that Transylvania, and that was the winner at a nice 4-1 price. So now you're getting 6-1 with Javier, another horse that appreciates a lot of speed in a race. And looked great up at Woodbine, winning on a yielding turf course 3 starts back in a restricted stakes. Was a winner that day by 5. Beat a nice horse in Bold Script. Came back to run a big one as well. And this is a horse that also ran against War of Will. Finished fourth by 4 to War of Will in the summer at Woodbine. So Avies Flatter, I'm going to use on top. In the second spot at a 6-1 price. And then the 3 is Digital Age. Digital Age will have Ira Ortiz aboard. really nice closing speed for Chad Brown. They went 49-1 at Tampa going a mile. And this is a horse that was 10 lengths off the lead, was able to win that day by a head. So another horse that I think will absolutely appreciate a stretch out from a mile to a mile and a 16th. Chad Brown's got a closing speed horse for Clarovich Stables at 6-1 with Arada Ortiz. I don't think that 6-1 is going to hold. But then again, that was a really nice effort. Facing winners for the first time against Stakes Company, beating Forever Mo, who's in this field at number 6. I'm going to use Digital Age in the 3rd spot. But this is a really nice wide open race here. I'm going to take a bomb, louder than bombs here. 13, 8, 3, and 2.
I have it 7, 8, 1, and 9. I went with Casa Creed in here, slight edge at 6-1. And like you said, in a race that's wide open as this, with a lot of different angles, why not take a horse that's going to be 6 or 7-1 in here? I just couldn't ultimately land on a Thread of Blue, although the horse has been in rock solid form looking for 4 in a row. But Casa Creed just finished second to a Thread of Blue by 3/4 of a length, and I think is actually going to elevate. You want to elevate this horse based on the fact that there's going to be wetness in the turf course. So you take a look at the second career start at Saratoga, over a wet surface, got the job done by a length and a quarter to break the maiden. Since that has been racing on firm turf courses and running really well, including the last one I just talked about against the Thread of Blue. Now you're going to get Johnny V aboard for the 4th time. Finally has gotten used to the horse. Bill Mott, who's sort of rounding into form, and I think this horse, all signs kind of point to him at 6-1. I'm hoping the value is going to hold, but I like this horse and use on top underneath Avies Flatter, who I know you have in the 2nd spot. This is just a fun horse. Wins on everything. 1 3-back over a yielding turf course, 2-back, 1 over a fast synthetic course. Last time out, 1 over a firm course. Is 4 for 5 lifetime. I know the connections are pointing towards the Queen's Plate, which we're going to be at up at Woodbine, so definitely note that. And I think Avies Flatter is just one of those that you have to use in your mix. Whether you think the horse is going to win or not, just is there every single time, and most of the time gets the job done. So 6-1, another situation. I'm not sure if that price is going to hold. I think a lot of people are going to be attracted to this horse. Javier Castellano, who's been on fire of late, is on this horse as well. So second off the layoff, a lot to like with Avies Flatter, and I have the horse in the 2nd spot. And then a Thread of Blue in the 3rd spot. Again, those 3 victories in the last 3 have been fantastic. The wet turf course is a little bit of an unknown. I did run on a yielding course 4 starts back at Aqueduct, finished 3rd that day. The wet number is actually pretty good, so I don't think it's going to be ultimately a Thread of Blue's demise. I just think the price is going to be a little bit too short, and I think there's a lot of horses on the improve here as well, so that's why I had to put a Thread of Blue in the 3rd spot. And then the 9, War Film in the 4th spot. It's 2 for 3 lifetime. Last time out did finish 4th to Avies Flatter, but was only beaten a length and a quarter, and that was an interestingly run Transylvania at Keeneland. So if you're looking for a long shot play in here, I know it's louder than bombs is a horse that Sully likes. My long shot play is going to be War Film in here for Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana Jr. So for me, I saw it 7, 8, 1, and 9. Your thoughts one more time?
13, 8, 3, and 2.
All right, next we'll take a look at race number 10, which is going to be the Grade 3 Pat Day Mile. You're going to see a field in here of 15 with the also eligible 15 global campaign, potentially drawing in if there's a scratch. The headliner in here is going to be Instagram, a horse that finished 3rd last time to Roadster and Game Winner. Thought that was a very good effort going a mile and an 1/8. I don't really think the horse wants to go that far. I'm glad to see the connections of Jerry Hollendorfer kind of putting this horse back to shorter distances, going the mile that they're going to go in the Pat Day Mile. I think is right up his alley. A horse that was really, really good as a 2-year-old. Since then, hasn't been able to get the job done. Maybe it's just sort of cycling into form. A huge purchase of $1.2 million. Ultimately, what were your thoughts on Instagram, and which way did you go?
I actually did go with Instagram in here, and then if you want to go Instagram and then a horse underneath, you're getting a big price everywhere else. So I went with Instagram on top just for the reasons you said it. The $1.2 million purchase, a horse that finished 3rd, the Roadster and Game Winner, lost to Heichel in the Gotham. I thought that was a good effort, but did win a Grade 2 event at Del Mar, sprinting 6 furlongs by 10 lengths. So if your one question mark is this horse ran 3rd at the mile distance in New York, I don't think you have anything to worry about. It's going to be the controlling speed in this spot. I think Instagram at 6-5. It's definitely worth the price, especially because you're going to get a horse underneath at a huge price. I went with Frolic More, the 11. in the second spot. I completely threw out the Risen Star and then tried an optional claimer 2 turns at Keeneland, but now a horse going back to 1 turn. Went 7 furlongs, broke the maiden here at Churchill Downs. And if you want a little bit of a horse for course angle at a price, Frolic Move is that horse. He's running the money every single time at Churchill Downs. Finally broke the maiden at the 7 furlongs distance, but I think the 1 turn mile is definitely not a bad spot for Dallas Stewart. And we said it in the Oaks preview, this Dallas Stewart on these big cards always says horses at big prices that run big numbers that day. So I'm going to take a shot here with Brian Hernandez, who also has a lot of success on these big cards, especially at Churchill Downs. And then Dreammaker I thought was interesting, the Mark Casse runner. This horse is 1 for 1 here at Churchill Downs. They tried the Tampa Bay Derby. They tried the Bluegrass. The horse did no running at all. But before that was running decent at the 2 turns. But at Saratoga in the Hopeful, I didn't think it was a bad 5th place effort behind Mind Control and Mucho. And Nitrous was also in that race. So Dreammaker took a lot of money because of those first couple starts. I do like the Casse runner, 15-1. I think is a little bit of an overlay, honestly, on this horse that should be sitting a really nice stalking role going back to a 1-turn race. So Instagram is obviously the horse to beat in here, but anywhere else you go, you're going to get a price in this spot. But for me, I went 10, 11, 3, and 14.
I went 10, 7, 3, and 14. We will take a look at that last race, though, in the Santa Anita Derby, where Instagram finished 3rd and getting a career best 95 buyer. He's going to be the horse on the rail right now and is trying to fend off Game Winner, who's the number 6 in here. And ultimately, on the way outside is Roadster, who's going to start coming and ultimately be the winner of this race. He's tussling with the A horses, and that's pretty much how you have to look at this race. Instagram is an A horse, an A-team horse, facing a bunch of B-teamers, not to devalue these horses because obviously they're very good in their own regards. But that's the way that you kind of have to see it because you have the same thinking as me. If Instagram wins this race by 3 lengths at, say, 4-5 or 3-5 in here, can you link up an exacta? And that's going to be my approach because I have it 10, 7, 3. And as you can see, we're getting prices with the 7 and 3. The 7, Mr. Money, who of recent hasn't been very good. Finished 5th against By My Standards in the Louisiana Derby, 7th against War Will in the Risen Star. But if you go back to that maiden breaker and in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile back at Churchill Downs in November against Game Winner, finished a solid 4th. And I think this horse, the workouts have been strong. They're still trying to figure out what to do with this horse. But I like to see that this horse won over the surface, can handle a wet surface as well, and I think at 10-1 is going to offer a decent exacta play with Instagram on top of Mr. Money underneath. And then the 3, Dreammaker. For some reason, Mr. Money doesn't run. This is going to be my other exacta play, 10-3 in here. And Dreammaker was unbelievable 3 starts back. I've talked about this horse numerous times on the stakes preview, but of recent has been absolutely horrible. So I'm waiting for this horse to wake up, has 1 for 1 at Churchill, and take a look at the workouts. 46 flat at Keeneland on March 30th, 47-3 on April 27th, first of 78 of recent at Churchill. This horse either runs huge or doesn't run at all. I'm not sure which one's going to happen, and ultimately that's why you're getting the 15-1 price. But I think if this horse does run huge, we'll give Instagram a little bit of a run for the money, and if not be able to go past, would round out maybe a $25, $30 exacta. So that's the way I'm going to think of it in race number 10. Ultimately, I had it 10, 7, 3, 14. Your thoughts one more time?
10, 11, 3, and 14.
All right, we will take a look at race number 11 in here, which is one more race to the Kentucky Derby. It's going to be the Turf Classic. It's a Grade 1 event. A lot of notable names in here. We do have a replay that we're going to pull up here in a second, but I'll let you give your thoughts on this race as we see the field in here in a second. 5-2 morning line favorite. It's going to be Bricks and Mortar. Horse coming off of 3 victories in a row, including 2 in 2019. Ran really well in the Pegasus Turf Invitational, the inaugural running of that. Got a 107 buyer. Pretty much dusted that field if you really go back and watch it. That was going a mile and 3/16. Last time out, it was a weird race. I know there was no pace at all. 51, 115, 139 for the mile and 8. That's absolutely walking. And Bricks and Mortar is a horse that normally likes to come from the back of the pack. Clever ride by Ryder Ortiz Jr. to know that there really was no pace going on because he got into the race early and he was able to grind out a victory against Mark It Off. I'm still trying to figure out and digest really how good of a race that was or if there was a little bit of a regression. Got a 102 buyer, so a little bit lower than the Pegasus Turf Classic. I sided against Bricks and Mortars in here, even though I love the horse. What were your thoughts? And ultimately, where'd you go?
I did side with Bricks and Mortar. I went 12, 9, 2, and 8. And as you said, it was a weird race last time out, and the horse still was able to get it done with very, very slow fractions. And the horse that was sitting right off the pace and was able to catch Market Off. And Market Off is the number 5 in here. So just from what we saw at the Pegasus World Cup, Bricks and Mortar, a horse that's been running triple-digit buyers the last 3. I think it's just going to be tough to beat in here for Chad Brown. I don't think you're going to get 5-2. I think he'll get around 2-1, possibly even money in here. But still, I never say you want to go short in a turf race, especially with 13 horses in there. But this is a horse I think you could cut down and go deep into the Kentucky Derby field. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I have Bricks and Mortar on top. The number 9 in the second spot is Synchrony, and this is a horse time and time again that I use, and time again either runs third or wins. Ran third last time out, 2 Bricks and Mortar and Market Off. I thought I had a really nice trip there to finish third, but that, as we already said, that was a very, very slow pace to run into. And I thought it was a good effort to finish third by a length. Ran 100 buyer 2 starts back at the Fairgrounds as well, closing into a 47-1. So I think there is some speed in this race. I think there will be a 47-1, 48 and change, and Synchrony will be able to run into that speed, into that pace for Michael Stidham. And then the number 2 is Raging Bull. 5-1 on the morning line, I think, is an absolute steal for this one. A horse that I thought ran well against Delta Prince and Clyde's Image in the Maker's Mile at Keeneland. Went off at even money 2-1 that day. But I just remember Raging Bull in the Hall of Fame. Was able to run by Murad at Saratoga as a 2-1 lukewarm choice that day. And then in the Saranac won at Saratoga as well. So Raging Bull is a horse that has serious closing speed. Joao Rosario has been in the irons every single time for Chad Brown and Peter Brandt. So I think if this horse can revert back to the Hall of Fame or the Saranac, or even the Maker's Mile last time where the horse ran a 97, I think the 5-1 price is a big, big value in this spot. But for me, I went 12, 9, 2, and 8.
I do have the same top 3, just a little bit different order. Synchrony is going to be one of my big plays as far as the bankroll goes as well. I love the price that you're going to get on Synchrony. We're going to see the replay of Synchrony finish third last year in this race. Back on Kentucky Derby Day last year, is going to be the 7 on the way outside. Now you're going to see Yoshida and Beach Patrol sort of hook up as the top 2 coming down the stretch, and you're going to see Synchrony be able to round around the field in here, but ultimately not be able to get to the top 2. They were going incredibly slow. Remember last year, they got 3 inches of rain. The turf course was bottled down. I thought this was a solid effort considering there was no pace at all, and you're going up against the likes of Yoshida and Beach Patrol to still finish third. Now, of recent, Sully's already talked about the recency of Synchrony finishing third to Bricks and Mortar, but that was, again, one of those weird races where not really sure how to judge it. I think Synchrony's extremely good horse. 8 for 20 as far as wins goes. And the fact that they're changing things up, they're going to go blinkers on. You take a look at the stat for Michael Stedham, the trainer, 22% with first-time blinkers and 20% overall with blinkers. So I think he sort of sees a little bit of an edge. Maybe Synchrony sort of idling when he comes down the stretch and passes some of these horses, but you might be able to focus him up with the blinkers in here. And if we get the generous price of 8-1, I don't think it's going to hold, maybe somewhere around 5 or 6-1. I'll still be thrilled with the price, and hopefully you can get the job done and upset here in the Turf Classic. Underneath, Bricks and Mortar. I love the horse. We had him, and we talked about him in the stakes preview in the Pegasus Turf Invitational. I had the bankroll that day. I had a whole bunch of money on Bricks and Mortar. He ran tremendous. Last time out, again, I'm not sure if he regressed a little bit. Going the mile and an eighth should be fine. The fact that there's a wet surface should be fine because he handled it at Gulfstream Park back in January already. To me, it's just a short price. And the interesting post being drawn out in the 12, see if they can navigate a trip under Rod Ortiz Jr. And then the 2, Raging Bull. They went the mile last time off the layoff. I know it wasn't ideal because the horse always wants to go farther, and the connections that it had talked about that. So maybe the fact that the horse just didn't want to go a mile, lost that race by a length of 3/4, now second off the layoff, should be much more fit. You're going to get Joao Rosario aboard. And the 5-1 may actually hold in this spot, so I'll use the 2 in the third spot. So for me in here, I have it 9, 12, 2, and 10. Your thoughts one more time?
12, 9, 2, and 8.
All right, we will pause, take one more break, get our thoughts together for the big one, the Kentucky Derby. When we come back, we'll take a look at it. Kentucky Derby.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Capital UTB Stakes Preview Kentucky Derby edition. We are finally up to the big one, the Grade 1 Kentucky Derby, $3 million purse for 3-year-olds, going to go 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs under the Twin Spires. A field in here of 20, but it's a different 20 than we thought because everything sort of changed a couple days ago when Omaha Beach was declared a non-starter in this race and is going to be scratched out. And now sort of changed up the entire way the race is going to flow. We expected Omaha Beach to be somewhere on the lead, or if not stalking some of the speed from the inside. He obviously is going to take a lot of money at 4-1 as the morning line favorite. Now everybody's searching. You're going to see the adjusted odds here with Omaha Beach being out. So you have Improbable, who's now down to 5-1, Maximum Security at 8-1, Tacitus at 8-1. They've dropped a couple notches. You're going to see Game Winner at 9-2, and here at the morning line odd favoritism, you're going to see obviously Omaha Beach be scratched out. Code of Honor took a little bit more money as far as the morning line goes, and Roadster. So of the 3 Baffert horses, you're going to be searching for the favorite. What were your thoughts on the Baffert horses, the field, the way that things shaped up for Omaha Beach, and everything in between?
Well, obviously, you feel bad for the horse and all the connections that would have been the favorite in here, and would have been a tough beat in here in the Kentucky Derby. But I still went a different direction than both the Bafferts and Omaha Beach. And there's a couple reasons in here, but I do want to pull up the replay of my top choice, Tacitus, and that is in the Wood Memorial last time out. Tacitus is now 8-1 from that 10-1 price. Should take a little bit of money, you would think, but the Wood Memorial, we were there in person, was a strung out field of horses that went decent fractions for a 46-4, and there was a rabbit on the front end that was DQ'd to last. I thought coming from way back off the pace, the Past Tax, who ran a huge race, who's the number 2 in this field, I'm just going to use in my mix. I think there is a lot of speed from the inside stalls in this race, and Tacitus should get an ideal trip, an ideal break from being right outside of that speed in the 9-hole. Plus K Parfait is a horse that most likely will not break not break towards the front either with that closing speed. So I think Tacitus gets the ideal trip, hopefully sitting 9th or 10th around the entire way, and then Jose can hook the horse out and get a closing kick. So I do think that Wood Memorial race was a lot better than it looked on paper. Just the fact that all 11 of those horses were completely strung out with a rabbit on the front end. I do like Tacitus, and I do like Bill Mott. I like having a Wood Memorial winner in the winner's circle for the first time since 2000 at the Kentucky Derby. The 16 and 17 for me, Game Winner, I'm going to use in the second spot. Is going to be the favorite in this race. But Game Winner, I thought, ran a better Rebel than Omaha Beach. Game Winner was really wide the entire race and at the Rebel and lost that race by a nose. And I remember going into the stakes preview next time out, Game Winner definitely wanted to go 1.25 miles. The 1.16 miles was always a question mark. Then they went 1.1 miles at San Diego Derby, lost the Roadster, who had a really nice closing kick that day, and I'm going to use that horse in the 3rd spot. So I'm going to have a horse that should be sitting in a stalking role, a really nice stalking role in Game Winner, and 2 closing speed horses in Tacitus and Roadster. But I'm going to use the 2 Baffert horses underneath. I'm not going to use Improbable in here. I think Improbable's got to show me a little bit more. But it is Bob Baffert. It is Windstar Farm. It is China Horse Club. Obviously, the connections that won the Triple Crown last year. But again, I thought the Rebel, Game Winner, ran a better race than Omaha Beach, who got the hug the rail, was absolutely loaded on top of the stretch, and a horse that wants to go longer. And then in the 3rd spot, I was struggling with Maximum Security or Country House. I ultimately went with Maximum Security. I just want a horse on the front end in case nobody's able to catch the pace. And Maximum Security is a horse that should be, if not on the lead, right off the lead. Won the Florida Derby very impressively, I thought, coming in from an optional claiming race where the horse won by 20 lengths. So, and it's Jason Service. Jason Service has won 30% of his races this year. Last year, I think he was closer to 38, 40%. So his barn's been red hot. Love the connections to Gary and Mary West as well. Just in case the pace breaks down, I want a horse on the front end with Maximum Security. So for me in the Kentucky Derby, I went Tacitus, Game Winner, Roadster, and Maximum Security.
I went 16, 8, 14, 5, 1, and 6. Now that's a lot of horses to name, but there's really only one for me, and I like Game Winner. And Anybody who knows me through Capital OTB knows how much I actually like this horse. I've been following him throughout his entire career. Now, there's going to be knocks on him. He's going to be, if he goes off as the favorite, he's going to be, and this is something that you have to go back to. I mean, we have a quiz session. When is the last time the favorite of the Kentucky Derby did not win the year that he raced in the Kentucky Derby? Because he has not won in 2019. So you're going to have a horse going into Derby. Now, most Derby favorites are horses that are coming off of 2 or 3 victories in a row or undefeated in their career. He actually hasn't won in the year that he's been racing in it. So that goes to show you how much respect they have for Bob Baffert in this horse. The other knock is the fact that he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in the field that he beat in Churchill back in November. None of those horses are in this race. So what type of field was really that? And I get those points and I understand, but we're going to go back, watch the Rebel. We're going to watch him face Omaha Beach, and this was his first start back since that Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He's the 5 on the outside, and at this point, you have to believe Omaha Beach is just going to open up against Game Winner. He's sort of all in at this point. But if you know Game Winner, he has 1 gear, and he can run all day. And still at this point, it looks like Omaha Beach is going to be able to open up by 3 or 4, win this race easy. And Game Winner is probably the most competitive horse in this Derby. If you had to ask me a question or give a statement, it's the fact that Game Winner, when all else fails, when everybody's on empty going the mile and a quarter, which everybody has not gone before, going that extra furlong, who do you want? You want the horse with the heart of a champion. And I think Game Winner has that. I think he's a horse that wants to run all day. Bob Baffert went on record saying that he wasn't fit enough in the Rebel, that he wasn't cranked in the Santa Anita Derby, and then after the last workout of 7 furlongs, he finally has him cranked. Joel Rosario really hasn't said too much. You know, they've been interviewing the jockeys. You had Mike Smith talking about Omaha Beach before he was scratched and a bunch of other jockeys. They really haven't said too much. You really haven't heard about Game Winner too much other than what you see on paper. But let me tell you, when I saw an article from one of the clockers out in Santa Anita, and they said that Game Winner will run through glass to beat you, that's a strong statement. So for me, he's going to be my top choice. He's going to be surrounded in all my bankroll bets as well. So hopefully he can get the job done. And I'm hoping that the 9-2 may hold because there's going to be so much value everywhere else. I just don't think people are going to want to settle on the 9-2 morning line favorite of Game Winner. So I'll use him on top underneath Tacitus, your top choice. I respect Tacitus very much. Going out for Bill Mott, this horse I think is the most athletic horse in the field after tussling in the first turn of the Wood Memorial and still being able to keep stride, to be able to relax and still be able to fight off a very good horse in Tax. I like the price that you're going to get of 8-1. I think it may hold somewhere around 7-1 or 6-1, but ultimately he's the horse that I fear the most. I kind of took a stand against Roadster, and I do have Improbable in my mix a little bit farther down, but I think Tacitus is the one as far as an alternative goes that I want to use as well, and I have him in the second spot. And then the 14 Win is a fun closer to me, a horse that last time out in the Bluegrass was completely stopped on the far turn. Go back, watch that replay. Was steadied at the 5/16 on paper, but go back around the far turn. It was completely stopped. Vekoma ended up winning that race, was the only one Win was that was closing in that race, finished under 13 for that final eighth, and I think he's one as a value play of 12-1 that could absolutely round out your exactas, tries, and supers, and I want to use him in the mix and have him in third. And then in the fourth spot, Improbable. I like Improbable because of the wet surface that I'm thinking is going to happen on Saturday. He ran well over the slop against Omaha Beach. He's sort of the wise guy horse. Bob Baffert's talked about it. His exercise rider has talked about it. He's a horse that's really, really good and sometimes just relaxes and not as interested, and that's why they used the blinkers last time out. He got a little fractious in the gate. I don't think that helped. That's why you're seeing the blinkers come off as well. So he's one that's interesting to me. The 5-1 is a little too short on him because I'm definitely not as confident in him as I am in Game Winner. But for me, in the Derby, I have it 16, 8, 14, 5, 1, and 6. Your thoughts one more time?
8, 16, 17, and 7.
All right, that's going to wrap things up on this edition of the Stakes Preview Kentucky Derby edition. It's going to be fun. Again, 10:30 post on Saturday. A lot to look forward to. You have the bankroll. Good luck, races 1 through 6.
Yeah,
hopefully set me up into a good situation,
that's
and I'll be able to take it home, races 7 through 12. We're both going to bet the Derby as well. So we'll see how things play out. Again, it's just a fun day. It comes once a year. The Kentucky Derby, is sort of America's thing. And it's fun for, new people to get involved and to check things out. And this year, more than most, you don't have that one horse that you can really identify as. So while the storylines may not be there as far as a huge America public type of thing, as far as value goes for serious bettors like us and the people that are watching, it's going to be fun, and hopefully
the whole card's that
exactly
way.
The whole card's that way. The weather looks to be a little iffy, but regardless, it's still going to be a terrific day. They're going to have a huge crowd, and again, place your bets. It's going to be fun. One more. Any more thoughts before we wrap things up?
No, it's funny you bring up the weather because every time there's a big race day, it just seems like it rains now. So I'm completely giving up on the weather. It's not going to play a factor in my handicapping anymore. But definitely the card's unbelievable. Leading into a Derby, which again has a bunch of question marks, and I think whoever comes out of the race is going to have a tough time to win in Baltimore, no matter who it is, because Oaklawn's got a prep race that day, and then you have the winner of the Lexington and the Brad Cox barn, Owendale, who looked great that day. So it's
and always minding the horse that
right.
won the Federico Tessio and actually beat Win, who was one of the horses that I like. The horse has been unbelievable down in the Laurel circuit and just winning everywhere. So he's sitting on the sidelines just chomping at the bit to face whoever the winner is of the Kentucky Derby. So there's a lot.
It's definitely a wide open year, and the odds are going to show it in the Derby. So just again, good luck to you and the bankroll and the whole bankroll team. So we'll try to win some money for the bankroll.
Yeah, and good luck to you as well. Hopefully the information was good. Hopefully we gave you some thoughts to think about and some horses to take a look at. Ultimately, hope that everybody wins on Kentucky Derby Day. But until we see you next time, take care.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.